Does it feel like you're leaving money on the table? Struggling to increase your productivity and profitability? Check out the Personal Power Transformation Program at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com/transformation and apply for a consultation with Jean Border to get things moving in the right direction. Welcome to another episode of the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast, Energy Work to Better Your Business, hosted by energy healer Jean Border. It's not just about dreaming. It's about making those dreams a practical reality. Subscribe to us via your favorite network by visiting our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com. Now, get ready. Your journey to success starts here.
Hello, everyone. It's your host, Jean Border, with another episode of the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast. I have another cool special guest with me here today, but before we get to that, I want to remind you that if you're having a little bit of tension in your life around money and you like EFT tapping protocols, there's a free one for you below. Click on the link or go to jeanborder.com/vow, VOW. And there are some EFT tapping protocols to help you calm down your nervous system when you're thinking about money decisions. I know there's been a lot of tension in the U.S. in particular lately around the economic situation, so it's just a little free help for you there. And now on to the show. So I have a different kind of guest for you here today, and I'm going to call him Roy, but I would ask him to say his name because I don't want to butcher it.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Jean. And it's okay. I would butcher my own name if I didn't know it. Yes, Rogelio Diaz. And thank you for having me, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell our listeners a little bit about what you do. High performance coach background in personal training. Talk to us.
Yes, it's been quite a bit to even get to that knowing of what kind of coach I wanted to be and so on. And yeah, I actually, my main first purpose was being a personal trainer. I had my own studio. I had a business partner. I had my diploma. I went through the whole spiel of, becoming a trainer, and I loved it. I did it for a year and a half. And then after a year and a half, slowly but surely things started to deteriorating, and I ended up going through some of the toughest times in my life, right? But that led me to what I'm doing now. And it's one of the most fulfilling work that I've been able to do. And I honestly, 9 years ago, Jean, I was an alcoholic. I was lost. I had no purpose. I got a DUI that cost me $10,000 that I didn't have. I got cheated on. Talk about the stacking of life hitting you, right? I got 2 slip discs from working at UPS, and it left me broke, left me depressed. I went through, again, some of the darkest times, but from that, again, it led me to personal training and now coaching. And it's been a long journey. The last 4 years have been such a roller coaster, as many people that are entrepreneurs and they want to start their own business. They go through so many similar things and facing themselves and asking, do you really got it in you, right? Like, can I really do this? Can I really take that leap? And I decided that I did. Well, one night, intoxicated under the influence, I asked myself if this was going to be the rest of my life, just drinking, just going nowhere really in life, feeling like a failure. And I decided that wasn't going to be the rest of my life. I made this one decision, Gene, to learn one new thing every day, better myself, to better my life. That created this whole ball of momentum and got me to what I'm doing now. I had $5,000 left from the studio, from the money that I made. I didn't do my finance. I wish I would have been more financially responsible, but I took that 5K and I invested into a program to live my purpose full time, again, doing what I'm doing now. And I bought the laptop that I'm using now still, and it it gave me the momentum that I needed and the confidence that I needed to start serving and start helping and being a speaker as well. I've spoken on stages and just sharing this message of hope, right? And like somebody's story saved mine at one point because I was ready to give up. I came home one night doing Uber Eats and I'm like, I can't, what's the point? I'm done. And I put on this TikTok story. I know, have you heard of this Eric Thomas, #1 motivational speaker in the world right now? And he was eating out of trash cans. He was living in abandoned buildings. He left his home when he was 16. Just this story of resilience, of not giving up. And it made me tear up that night. And I said, you know what? I'm going to keep going. And here we are now, just coaching, helping, sharing these stories with you. And it's been a crazy ride and a lot of ups and downs.
We all have our own journey. Some of them seem to be, from the outside looking in, seem to be easier than others, right? But we all hit that point where we say enough. And if we don't hit that point, then we don't notice that we've had a transformation. For you, there was a pivotal point in time where you said enough. The bit about learning something every day, I'm so into that. I call myself a lifelong learner, right? I'm always taking classes. I'm always listening to webinars, and I don't typically take away everything from whatever I listened to or was a part of. I take away a nugget, right? I figure if it was worth the money, if I got one really good piece of information, because I do so much learning, like you, right? I do so much learning that I can't expect to walk into a room and have all new information. It doesn't work that way, but I'll get the piece that I need at the right time.
Couldn't agree more. It really does go like that. It's like and whatever you're building on, right? It's like you want information is going to help you with that goal, right? What you're currently focusing. I'm a big believer in mentors. I'm a big believer in learning, and I mean, I wouldn't even be where I'm at right now with and at the speed, because they really save you so much time, right, Gene? Like when you get those nuggets, you get the coaching, the seminars, the courses, like it. So much easier with guidance, and you have your guidance, but you also, you have other people's guidance, and it's a mirror, right? It's a reflection. And it's like sometimes you just clicks at the right time, at the right person, from the right person, and it gives you what you need in that time. I remember when I was beginning this journey of even putting myself out there, right, and being a coach and sharing this stuff. I had imposter syndrome to the max, right? I'm like, who am I? I'm living with my parents. I don't really have much of a background, right? I've been learning for the last year or two, but I don't have all these credentials. I don't have all this expertise, that so many people are ahead of me, so to speak, right? And I messaged a mentor at that time. I asked him, look, this is my situation. I want to go and share. I want to help people, but what I was really saying is, I don't know if I'm qualified, right? I'm living with my parents. I'm 27. Like, who am I to, who am I, this kid in a sense? And he replied, this changed the trajectory of my life as well. I wanted to start my own coaching business and so on, right? And he said, are you kidding me? He replied, are you kidding me? ? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, go. And I still have that screenshot from the message 4 years ago. It's like, I went. I went, right? It's insane.
So we're all at different points in our journey, right? So wherever you are, there's at least one person who's at the rung of the ladder below you, where you can reach back and help pull them up. And that's really what coaching is, right? That's what teaching is. That's what mentoring is. There's always going to be someone who needs what you have, whether you value it or not. They don't want to go all the way up to Tony Robbins because they don't feel worthy of that yet, right? they don't have the money to spend on that. They figure that, he's so rich, he's so well known, he is so famous, he's so balanced, he's so far above me. But Joe Blow off the street, maybe I can learn something from them that will help pull me up. And each time I go with a new coach or a new mentor, I'm learning more and more and more. And at some point, I may feel worthy of a one-on-one with Tony Robbins, right?
Right. No, that old, it reminds me of that old saying, don't wait for people to believe in you. But sometimes it takes someone else believing in you so you can believe in yourself. And that's the case sometimes. It gives you motivation. It gives you hope. It's like, wow, maybe I can't take a chance on myself. Maybe I can't take this. Right? When you're in it, as you know, Gene, when you're in the dark night of the soul, when you're really in your own mind, like it's hard to see that you still have it in you. It's hard to see that you can just take that next step and even ask for support. Like it really gets you into a tunnel, a point of tunnel vision where there's so much more over here if you would just look to the right. But because we're in it, we get in our heads and our own beliefs take over.
And that brings up another thing, beliefs. Beliefs are not facts. They're just thoughts, right? And we've looked for proof that those are true, and we've found more and more proof that they're true. So now we believe that it must be true. When really it was just a thought and you looked for validation. And if you had looked for validation for the opposite, you might have found that as well. So you may have created a different belief than the one that's currently driving your decisions, right? Just like you were the same person when you were drinking and now, but your thoughts were different. Your focus was different, right?
Exactly, Gene. And I feel the reprogramming of yourself it helps so much, right? When you're getting new knowledge, new information that's helping you find more of yourself, helping you expand your awareness, so to speak, right? It helps you create that new version that's been waiting for you for such a very long time, right? The highest version of you, so to speak. And I think I like what Tony Robbins says as well. You get what you look for, right? And I was sharing this with you before, how like I used to believe I was a failure. So I would put myself in situations where I would fail, right? With my business, with even relationships. And it's like, it was just, again, the belief playing itself out. I was recreating my own trauma in a sense through my business. It's all a reflection, right? You really want to see how much work you put in, start a business. It's right, like really, really see. But I found that the more you challenge those beliefs, right? I created a process called the truth process, 5-step process. And you when you're brutally honest with yourself, really see, like I remember I wrote this down. At this point in my life, I feel, what are all the negative things that come up, right? As you keep digging, you'll find the core belief, you'll find the core story that's coming up, that's playing out, and you challenge it. Are you really a failure? Do you really not believe in yourself? Because if that was true, why were you able to do X, Y, and Z? All these things that you thought were impossible at one point, you believe you didn't have it in you. Yet, how in the world did you do it? Right? Are you really that failure? Are you really, that imposter? When you've done all this that completely contradicts it, that's the truth, my friend.
Comes down to focus. Do you focus on everything you do bad, or do you focus on everything you do really well?
Yes.
So what you focus on is what you get, right? Energy follows wherever you place your focus. And that's another Tony Robbins type deal. Yes, I've followed Tony Robbins for decades. And when I first started to try to teach myself about money, I went to a Tony Robbins Wealth Mastery out in the DC area. So that was my introduction to Tony Robbins stuff. Well, actually before that, but that was my first big seminar with that group. But he's very big on where you place your focus is where you're going to get results. If you place it on negative thoughts, you're going to allow negative thoughts to grow. If you focus on a specific outcome, your decisions will lead you gradually, maybe over time, or maybe immediately to that outcome that you have determined is my focus, right? So focus, awareness, strategic action. If you want to get from where you were to where you want to be, that's really where you have to go. Figure out what you want. It's just like you decided, no more of this stuff. I'm changing my life. It starts today. So you made a decision. You became aware of what you would no longer accept. You began to focus on it and take action. And look where you are now.
Right? Those small little steps.
Every day. Yep.
That's the formula right there, Julie. Literally, when you just share. You can really see that if you really believe that you can do something with your life, right? And you can start that business and you can have meaning in this world and really share something that's going to impact others. If you can just take that what you know practically is the next action. And even if you got to hold the fear, right? Like you can do it. And sometimes you need the guidance is there and you have the support. Sometimes it's just you and you got to take the leap, but you don't regret it, right? Like you don't regret betting on yourself. You don't regret taking the chance. 4 years ago, I moved from Chicago to Sedona. I went to a 4-day retreat and I never went back. I never went back to Chicago. I had my car, my luggage. I lost all the clients that I had at the time. I had to find a way. But when you burn the boats, right? You you deserve more, you become more. You don't count the cost. You don't count the cost of what it takes to show up again. You try again. There'll be times where you want to give up. There'll be times where you fail and you're doing everything and you don't understand why it's not working, why everything is going wrong. But keep showing up. Even if you have to take a knee for a little bit, you really do get there. As cliche as that sounds.
I go back to this example. There is a knowing that happens when you actually decide, right? My dad was Air Force. And I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. My dad was Air Force and we traveled all over the place. And then he retired and things happened and I went stir crazy from not traveling. And so I just decided I was going to have to get a job where I could travel and somebody else would pay for it. Period. And that's what I did. I didn't plan it out that way. I just started taking steps to set up my career, and every decision took me in that direction. I had thought it would look like one thing, and it ended up looking differently, even better, right?
It always
had this knowing that I would have to get a job. I set it up in my head that I would get a job where I could travel the world and somebody else would pay for it. And it happened. That was my entire career, traveling. It was great. But you have to decide. You have to make the choice, right? If you don't make a choice, then you're just like on the waves. Wherever the waves take the boat, that's where you're going to end up. If you don't have a goal in mind over on the coastline somewhere, whatever city, whatever sandbar, whatever island you end up on, you had no goals, you had no process. You didn't take action to direct your path. You're just along for the ride. And some people are great with that. That's how they want to live their life. And that's fantastic. It didn't suit me, right? But some people, that's how they want to live their life, and more power to you.
Yeah, and I can see why. I can see why too. But yeah, same as you, Gene. I think having a destination, it helps, see where you're going. And also I've seen a lot of suffering when there aren't goals set, when there isn't a compelling future set, right? Because you become a victim to life in so many ways if you don't see what's going on and you don't see that all this unconscious trauma, unconscious limiting beliefs they're controlling you, right? Like they're in control of you. The energy of the emotion is controlling you, right? And but you think it's you, and you think, oh, all right, I'm not meant to create that because this is what I'm being told, right? But it takes a lot of deciphering to see what's the intuition and what's the trauma and there's when it comes to change, I found, Gene, again, there's like we were saying, like your defining moment, right? Like it's usually out of pain, and like, enough's enough. There's in AAA or AA, there's they share something about a 10-second decision. It takes 10 years to make a 10-second decision, right? A split second where you decide you did, I'm going to change this. This is what it's going to be, that knowing, right? And it takes 10 years because you really get to the point of being sick and tired. And there, it's like you can't stand another second in that reality. There's a story about a dog. I don't know if you ever heard this, a dog sitting on a nail. And no, it's perfect. It's perfect for a lot of situations. So when there is a story about this customer going into a grocery store and he sees a dog outside. This dog sitting on a nail, crying, is howling, and he goes inside and gets his groceries. He talks to the clerk. It's like, what's going on with that dog out there? Why is he sitting on the nail? And the clerk responds, and he says, well, he's been out there for a couple hours. He's just sitting on it and crying, and he's not moving. And the customer says, doesn't it hurt? Isn't the dog in pain sitting on the nail? And the clerk says, it must not hurt bad enough, because if it hurt bad enough, the dog would move. And it's just, and when I heard that story, Gene, it made so much sense, because sometimes we can tolerate where we're at, right? It's not that bad. It could be worse. It's really digging. When that nail is really hurting, that's when we move. That's when we have that knowing, that choice. And oftentimes that's what it takes. Somebody.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I think that we're geared that way, right? Uncertainty and certainty. We need them both. But we fear uncertainty to a crazy degree. A lot of times we don't know what will happen if we make a different choice. If we actually decide on this, well, what if I don't want it? What if I get it and I decide then I've wasted all that time? Well, you're wasting time anyway, not knowing, right? But I find the uncertainty/certainty idea really fascinating sometimes with what we're willing to put up with. Mm-hmm. Also, the fear of visibility, right? If I do this, somebody's going to see me when they're not looking at me right now. And so that brings that safety issue up. What are they going to think of me? Are they going to judge me? What if they see me fail? And so therefore, right? But that's how we think. That's how we're geared. And we should do everything perfectly the first time. Well, no, that's kind of impossible if you haven't learned it, if you haven't practiced it, if you haven't perfected it, if you haven't addressed all the possibilities. But we expect ourselves to be perfect the first time. And then we beat ourselves up with that whole negative self-talk stuff when we're not.
There's not one person, one entrepreneur, one person that wants to go into, starting their own business that I've met that has not gone through those struggles. I've gone through those struggles. It's exactly what happens on the journey, and it's quote unquote normal, right? To go through these things. But yeah, it's silly to have those expectations on yourself. You're never going to fail. Everything's going to be perfect, right? Like it's not the journey. And it wouldn't be funny it wouldn't be fun as well if that was everything was just a nice straight line, right? I think this is why it's important to talk about these things, because people think there's something wrong with them, and it's not the case. Like that fear of visibility, I struggled with that for a long time. I went to this breathwork ceremony, and we did an exercise, Gene, where we all walked around, and we had to stare each other in the eyes horizontal. Yeah. At first, I'm like, what's going on? There's some weird stuff, but it was a legit exercise. And I felt so uncomfortable. I was looking again, while walking around, trying to maintain eye contact. I literally wanted to run out the room. I was serious. I've never contemplated leaving in a or anything like that. But I was ready to run. I'm like, what is going on, Roy? And it was that fear of being seen. It's because your judgment, your rejection. I was afraid. We're afraid of having other people view us in the same negative ways that we view ourselves. And I did this exercise as well with Sam Uppin's son. He's a beast as well in his work. And he says that there was this question in a course from his where he says, write down all the negative things you think people are talking about you when you're not there. I'm like, okay. All the negative things, G, every single one, all the negative things that I was thinking about myself when no one was there. And it's just bringing it back to that. That's what we're really afraid of. What if they see all the self-criticism, right? The inner critic, the inner critic that comes out, and the way that I see myself sometimes, and I believe I am because of what's happened, because of the negative emotion and meaning from traumatic experiences, right? And I feel that's the real fear when you can see truth. Are you really that? Are you really those limiting beliefs? Do you really have low self-worth, or is this that's just something you believe?
And it's very funny that you write all those down, and if you step back and think about it, those people probably aren't thinking about you at all. They're thinking about their own issues. We think the world revolves around us and everyone is thinking about us all the time, and they're doing things to us or for us. And really, they're just doing it on their own. That they live in their world. Your head defines your world, right? Your thoughts are your reality. How much time you actually spend in the physical world doing something versus imagining things in your head.
Yeah.
So are you imagining good things or bad things? Are you imagining that you're terrible at something or that you're making progress towards something, right? So the more your thoughts are focused on the negative, the more down you're going to feel on yourself. And the more your thoughts are focused on the positive and growth and progression, the more elevated your feelings will be about yourself and your reality and your progress, right? So you get to choose every day. You get to choose every moment. Am I going to put myself down or am I going to build myself up? Because nobody else can do it for you. We always look for external validation, but the only thing that matters is what you believe about yourself and your journey and your being.
Nicely. It really comes down to that. And that external validation, that people pleasing, it's so common, right? And also, you know how you hear about wanting to be, no one's going to come and save you. And you hear that a lot. And I've realized that want, even if it's conscious or unconscious, it's an inner child's wound. It's like you wish one of your parents would have saved you. But what it really is, you wish one of your parents would have helped, right? So on a deeper level, wanting to be saved is just wishing that you had that support, that help from your parents, and you're waiting for it unconsciously. But again, it's good that you become aware if that is something that you struggle with, or it's something that you're doing unconsciously, because it's an unmet need in so many ways. And you wish you had the support from your parents, but it's playing out again in our business, in our lives. And the more you clear, the more energy you work, the more inner work you do, I found that those voices leave, or they get quieter, of what you can't do, and the self-doubt, and right, like the limiting beliefs, because you don't have to, it dissipates. I don't know if you ever heard of Letting Go by David R. Hawkins, right?
I have a lot of his books.
Amazing. You know how powerful his work is, right? And how he shares that it literally dissipates from your consciousness. You don't have the stuff that you've dealt with when you were 16, or little, like, things that once were traumas. You don't even remember them. They're gone, right? Because when you do the work, really have you can really have more of your true self expressed, because you don't have all this stuff clouding it. Right? You don't have all this negative stuff, or trapped up negative emotions, quote unquote negative, right? Like it's not blocking your source how we used to.
There's an exercise I do with my clients that's really based off, I'm going to say, a lot of his work. And that is, as something is bothering them, I ask them to find where they feel it physically in their body. And then focus on that physical feeling and follow it wherever it goes. And if it gets stronger or weaker, don't worry about the story behind it. Just follow that physical feeling wherever you feel it, in your head, in your heart, in your stomach, on your knee, wherever it goes. And if it's moving, that's fantastic. That's the energy in the body moving, those emotions that got stuck in the body from the trauma or from the experience. It's not necessarily what we would think on the level of trauma, but it's an experience that you held on to part of it emotionally, right? And so after that exercise is over, they can now talk about the experience and not be upset, because they've allowed the physical part of the body to release the emotion where it was being held, where it was creating tension in the body, and they're just letting go.
Powerful, my friend.
Yeah.
Wow. That is what healing looks like, Gene. Right? As I share with you, I've worked with an EFT practitioner, right? And one of the things that she helped me through was my sexual trauma growing up. And it was this knot in my throat chakra, freaking knot, right? And I was starting to get thyroid issues, and I knew, as we know, right? It's energy. And after a couple calls, I ended up having a conversation with my parents, and they didn't know what happened. I ended up sharing that, and it was affecting every area of my life. Right? Me moving forward in my brand, my business, in life, it kept me at a certain level, right? And after I had that call with my mom, my dad, I'm not even exaggerating, Gene, it almost like just dissipated. It's just like the tension, like the ball of tension was gone within a couple of days. I was blown away, but also not surprised. And it makes a lot of sense when you have thyroid issues as well. Like, that's right. What's trapped? What hasn't been expressed? And that, there's different ways to get the energy moving. And for me, it was having that, but I had to work my way up through. And that's why I'm a huge believer in the work that you do, with EFT. And it's so profoundly impactful, and it helped me. I've done other kind of work, right? And EFT was the only work that helped me release this knot and kind of expressing what happened.
Yeah, if you can work with a practitioner, it's amazing. You can do great things on your own, but sometimes it's a deep enough issue that we don't want to always face things about ourselves, right? And sometimes you need the support of someone outside looking in who can help you through it without getting you. There's no reason to relive it, right? I'm a firm believer in there is absolutely no reason to cause yourself pain in the healing process. None at all. You allow that emotion that got stuck to leave. And now, yes, you remember it, but you're not reliving the trauma because you've allowed yourself to process out those feelings the way they were, the way your body was designed and created to process them, to get you through life with ease, with grace, with joy, right? So I would suggest that if some of our listeners are dealing with trauma type issues, please go to a well-established EFT practitioner, just because they're more experienced at not triggering you, right? When we work with someone, we only take them up to the point where they start to feel tension, and then we back off and we release all that. And then we work again to where they start to feel tension, and we back off and we release. We don't go straight to the heart of the issue.
Yeah.
Because that creates pain. There is no cause for any healer to create pain for you. That is my personal belief. Other people think, oh no, you got to relive it. That's not my belief. We all create our own beliefs. So find someone, if you do have a trauma issue, find someone that you feel comfortable with, that works in a way that makes you feel good. If you feel bad about it, it's not the right practitioner for you to work with. I'm just going to throw that out there. They're all different kinds. We all want different things, right? Find one that feels right to you.
Love that. Right on, Gene. Right on.
So there you go. My soapbox.
Oh, that's a great piece of advice. And yeah, because you really do got to find, the practice and the person that's right for you, and you got to feel safe. I love studying the work of Carl Jung, and he talks about in one of his courses that what would stop healing from occurring is if the person didn't feel safe, and if they jumped straight to the trauma, right? They would block off, and they wouldn't even speak. But I think a lot of people as well deal with what's called the protector, and the protector, right? It stems from a trauma complex, and from stuff that's happened to you. The more severe the trauma, the stronger the protector becomes over time, and it becomes the persecutor. Right? You hear a lot of stories about victims becoming the victimizers, and they're so unaware that this protector that's trying to protect them is actually hurting them. And it stops you from really going after what you want. It stops you from evolving. For having a quote unquote organic development as a child. There are so many things that happen unconsciously when you go through severe traumas, and we think there's something wrong with us, but it's because, again, what's happened? Something's happened that has interrupted your normal organic growth process, and then the protector comes in, and you get defensive, and you block yourself off from your own healing because you think, again, the protector it thinks that it's trying to protect you, but it's doing the exact opposite and limiting you.
Sometimes it's hard for people to be themselves. And you mentioned the word, so I'm going to say it. Sometimes it feels like it's not safe. And when we start a business, we have all these things that are really triggering. It's not safe to be seen. It's not safe to be heard. I'm going to be judged. I don't know what to do next. I don't know when to hire somebody. I don't know if I need to hire somebody. I can't learn all this new stuff. There's all this tech stuff I've got to learn. I don't know how to market. I don't know how to get sales. I don't know how to deal with my finances. I don't know how I'm going to handle the startup costs. I mean, there's so many things that can make us feel like we just are worthless. Right? So it's unsafe to be in the business world. But I want more time and I want more money. So I need to be my own boss. Well, have you ever been your own boss? There's so many parts that you have to learn to grow, to start a business and then to grow your business, right?
Oh, yeah.
And safety plays a huge role in that. Every step of the way, something new is, you're going to break through one safety barrier and you're going to hit another one, right?
Yeah. It always goes that way, Gene. But if you had a chaotic, unpredictable childhood, it's even more intense. Again, it's when you're healing through your business, right? You're working, all this stuff is going deeper into yourself. The higher you go with your business, the more success you get, the deeper the stuff is going to start to unravel, right? The stuff that we really suppressed, that we really repressed in the past. And but it comes with it. And oftentimes it feels overwhelming and we believe that we can't handle it. But when you go into it, and you were touching into this, it's just like a little microbites at a time, right? You don't have to grab on to the last 20 years of your life and taste it all at once, right? When you can do that, realize, you know what, maybe I do have the strength, the courage, the heart to just face this one thing right now that's coming up consistently for the last couple of months, right? And you realize you're so much stronger than you think. And you are safe, and defining what safety means to you, and you know that you got your back, right? Who's really, when you create these stories of bad things that are going to happen, and those are just stories from not feeling safe growing up as well, or through most of your life. It's us creating those stories, and the emotion right away starts to creep in. But we're creating that at the time, but if you can go into the trauma, right, and you can, where is this really coming from? Well, why is this really here? And okay, that makes sense. This happened when I was 9, or I went through that experience when I was 12, and it's just like you create your own safety in so many ways, and you can define what safety means to you, and you know that you got you. You're always safe. You really start ingraining that. You're going to start to create situations where you feel safe and start developing that knowing and confidence. No one's going to come and hurt you out of nowhere. And your business too, right? You're going to be, wow, I am safe to take this next step, take this leap.
And sometimes that requires you to set boundaries. I'm only going to work these hours a day so that the other hours of the day I can support my family. Because I am in business for myself so that I have time for my family. But if I'm not spending time with my family, then my business is not meeting the goal that I set for it before I began, right?
Yeah. Maybe
I don't want to work with these types of clients. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you a focused person, all right? Focused business person. Maybe I only want to spend X amount of dollars on a certain venture. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you a person who is aware of budget constraints, right? So you also have to get used to putting positive language on things instead of, well, I can't afford it. Perhaps use, I didn't budget for that this quarter. Different feeling, right? I can't afford it is a lack. I didn't budget for it gives me control.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But setting boundaries on the language we use in the internal dialogue that goes on all the time. Setting a boundary that says, I am not authorized to put myself down today. And then holding yourself accountable to that. Oh my gosh, So maybe you cut it down for the morning hours. I am not allowed to put myself down, and see how hard that is. And eventually you'll build up that muscle. It's just like anything else. Habits have to start and then you have to build on them, right? But that can be a boundary, and boundaries are important in business. And if you maintain your boundaries, it helps you grow that feeling of safety. This is what I decided, and I am meeting the decisions that I made through the actions that I take or do not take, right?
And I'm going to remember that. That is absolutely right, Jean. Yeah, I never thought about them that way.
Boundaries are really hard, at least based on my experience with my clients. Boundaries can be really difficult in the beginning to be okay with, because we feel like in service-oriented sectors anyway, we feel like we should be all things to all people all the time. That's not the same. It's not sustainable, right? It's really not. So you have to figure out what you are willing to give and what is in your best interest not to give. Because if you give away everything you have, you're not fulfilling your requirement to grow, to be, to have, to be able to give more. You have to create more income to be able to give more money, to donate more money, to help other people. You have to pay attention to the time you're spending to have time to support other people, right? Everything is a flow. It's a give and take. You don't want to hold really tightly. You don't want to push everything away. You give some, you release. You give, you release, right?
Well,
That's another muscle you have to build up.
some great wisdom right there. And it takes, it's definitely challenging. And but if you can really commit to working on that, the payoff is definitely worth it. And a lot of my clients struggle with the same thing, G. It gives so much, right? And even to their own employees, right? Their own teammates, they'll hop on a call for 3-4 hours and it wasn't even necessary, right? It's like, but you want to give so much. And the issue with that is like you give your power away, your priorities are switched, right? Like you want to spend more time with your family. You're not valuing your time. And oftentimes, like, what's the real intention? Is it really the service, or do you want to matter? Right? Because a lot of times we do stuff to feel important, and we want to matter, or we have low self-worth, or we want to people please, or seeking that validation. We want to be seen as good. It's like, what's the real intention behind the service, right? And does it really have to take 4 hours, or right? Like, it's very. Yeah, I work with a lot of small business owners, and that's what they say. Like, it's hard for them to say no, to set those boundaries. I love that perspective of it creating safety. And also it builds a lot of confidence in yourself because you're keeping your word. You're the one that's guiding your life, right? You're staying true to your own contracts. And it's powerful because you're not getting pulled left and right. Like you were saying earlier, like you're the one that's saying, hey, I'm going to do this for this, how long is going to take, right? I'm going to set this boundary. And beautiful thing is, honestly, as well, Gene, the other person doesn't even have to do anything sometimes. It's you, right? Like, hey, we're going to hang out for this amount of time. There's nothing that has to be said after that. Like, it's like, this is what you're going to be doing. And also just to touch about what you were saying on like the reprogramming, right, of what you're focusing on, and we're focused on like all the negative language. Or I love this challenge that I came across one time, and I tried it, and you really are retraining yourself. You imagine every time you have a problem, what if you go directly to the solution and trying to find that out, right? I think it was Tony Robbins. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. I think it was his book, something about beliefs. I forgot, but he was sharing that. And it's like, what if for 7 days or 10 days, every time there's a problem, something that comes up, you try to go straight to the solution. See what happens. And instead of complaining and, criticizing ourselves and beating ourselves up, or, just going into a negative state, what if you just focus on the solution? Try to find the solution. The game changer, Gene.
Well, we're coming up on the end of our time together, but you mentioned people in our industry wanting to give. So I think that you might have a resource for our listeners that you might be willing to give.
Yes, I would love to give. And I do. I have a free audiobook titled The One Guide. It's there to help entrepreneurs, business owners, and people that even they want to really be full expression of themselves, right? It's designed to help you express a more authentic version of you, tap into a new layer of inner trust, and guide yourself through the most catastrophic moments in your life. As we know, there's a couple moments, right, when you're in business and you have some of those dark nights. You need your own guidance, and sometimes the support is there. But I designed the free audiobook to help you guide yourself, and I called it The One Guide because I'm not the one guy. You are my friend, right? And it's just taking tools and stuff that I've learned and that's applicable for anyone, and helping you guide yourself in so many ways, and really seeing that you can trust, you can take those leaps, you can, right? That you got it in you in so many ways. So yes, I would love to gift that. And it's a quick 20-minute audio It's going to help you. It's going to give you momentum more than anything and get that belief back.
And they can find that at?
Yes, RogelioDiaz.com/resources.
Cool. And there will be a link in the show notes below for those of you who are online. Just click on the link. It'll take you right to it. Do you happen to have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yes. Yes, I do, Gene. I think there's going to be, just a heads up, guys, there's going to be moments where you want to quit, where nothing is working, where you've been trying for some time and you haven't found the right formula. You haven't, maybe you keep getting in your own way. Life keeps hitting, so to speak, and you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to give up. And I'm telling you, keep going, keep fighting. Even if you got to take a day off, a week off, but that dream, that result is worth it. You're worth it. And everybody goes through it. I've gone through it, but you never know. The reason I'm even sharing this is because you never, your business, your message, your gift to the world has so much potential to change the lives of other people and to, create this huge positive ripple effect. And somebody's story once saved mine. I'm just paying it forward right now. Like, don't give up on your story. Got something to give. Go give yourself a fighting chance, right? See what you can do. See how far you can take it. At least give yourself a shot. That would be it.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here. It was really nice conversation we had. I'm very glad I got to know you.
Thank you, Gene. Likewise. It was a pleasure, buddy.
Cool. And to my listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed our time together. This is Jean Border with the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey podcast. Until next time.
We trust you enjoyed this episode of the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey podcast. Energy work to better your business. Hosted by energy healer Jean Border. Remember to visit our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey.